A lot of Weston homeowners think the biggest risk right now is not getting enough for their house. But what I'm seeing over and over again is sellers quietly losing tens of thousands of dollars before they realize it's even happening. Not because the market is bad, Weston is still a strong market, but because they are using 2021 pricing logic in a completely different market. And the scary part is, most of the damage happens in the first couple weeks your home is listed, before you ever get the first serious offer. Because buyers today, they're paying attention to everything. Pricing, photos, presentation, days on market, how your home compares to the one 2 streets over, even how well your agent understands the specific neighborhood you live in. And once buyers start asking themselves the one dangerous question, what's wrong with it? You have already lost leverage. Before we get into the biggest mistakes Weston sellers are making right now, you need to understand something that catches a lot of homeowners off guard. When your home hits the market, you are not building momentum over time. You're borrowing it. And you usually only get about 7 to 14 days of maximum buyer attention before the market starts making assumptions about your house. Think about it this way, like a movie release. Opening weekend is everything. That is when the hype is the highest. People are talking about it and everyone wants to see it before they hear the spoilers. But if opening weekend flops, it's incredibly hard to recover after that. Homes work almost the exact same way right now in Weston. The minute buyers see overpriced listings, cluttered homes, generic marketing, bad photos, or a home sitting too long without activity, they immediately start wondering, what is wrong with it? Even if the answer is absolutely nothing. And once buyers start feeling that way, the lowball offers start coming fast. Because buyers today are much more analytical than they were a few years ago. They compare inventory harder, they negotiate harder, and they absolutely notice when a home feels stale, overpriced, poorly prepared, or badly marketed. Here's the other thing sellers don't realize. Buyers can see your history. They see the price cuts. They see how long the home sat. They see when a listing gets pulled and relisted. Even if you switch agents later, the market never forgets. That is where sellers start leaving money on the table. And it almost always starts with pricing. I'm seeing this constantly in Weston right now. A seller says, well, the house down the street sold for this number. But when you actually look closer, that sale happened during lower interest rates, during peak relocation season. Maybe the house backed to water, maybe it had fully renovated bathrooms, maybe buyers were waiving everything at the time. And now they try to apply that same number to today's market. This is where things start to go sideways because buyers today are comparing everything much more carefully. Active competition, pending sales, price per square foot, condition, location, school zoning, lot placement, all of it. And the second a home feels overpriced, buyers don't lean in, they back away. What sellers don't realize is overpricing isn't going to lead to strong offers later. It leads to weaker negotiating power later. Because once a house starts sitting for 30 days, 45 days, 60 days, buyers stop thinking this must be a great house. They start thinking that something is wrong with it. Then the price reductions start. And here's the part that quietly gets expensive. Time costs money. Mortgage payments, insurance, taxes, HOA, carrying costs, pool service, landscaping, utilities, maintenance. A seller trying to hold out for another $50,000 may slowly lose that exact amount while the home sits. Pricing is not about what your home used to be worth. It's about buyers are willing to pay right now. So underpricing does not get talked about enough because everyone focuses on overpricing. But I've seen a lot of sellers leave a lot of money on the table because they get emotionally spooked by national headlines. Interest rates are high, the market is crashing, buyers disappeared. The problem is, Weston doesn't always behave like the national market. Weston is heavily influenced by corporate relocations, school-driven moves, South Florida migration, and lifestyle buyers. A family relocating from New York, California, Chicago, or Boston may view value completely differently than a local buyer does, and that matters. And this is why pricing off of fear can become just as dangerous as pricing off of ego. Because if you underprice by even 3 to 5% on $1 million home, that is real money that you left on the table. Pricing needs to come from actual neighborhood demand, current competition, pending sales, and real buyer behavior. Not from Zillow, not from headlines, and not from emotions, and definitely not from what you need to net from that sale. The market doesn't care what number works for you emotionally. It only responds to supply, demand, condition, and competition. One thing people assume about South Florida is that there's no seasons here. And compared to colder states, it's a little bit true. We don't have snow shutting down showings for months, but Weston absolutely has timing patterns, and they're just a little bit different than they are in other parts of the country. Weston is much more tied to school calendars, family moves, relocation timing, and corporate hiring cycles, not snowbird condo traffic. One of the quieter periods we see tends to happen late in the fourth quarter. People are focused on the holidays, travel, family events. Companies slow down their relocation decisions. Even serious buyers, they mentally check out for a little while. Then activity tends to ramp back up in late winter, spring, and definitely early summer, because families want enough time to get under contract, relocate, settle in, and start school smoothly. But here's the important part. Good timing amplifies momentum. It doesn't fix bad pricing. It doesn't fix weak presentation, and it doesn't fix poor marketing. I always say it, clean and neat is free, and you would be shocked how many sellers skip that step. I think sometimes people get used to their own home over time. You stop seeing the clutter, the crowded countertops, the overflowing closets, the dark rooms, stained grout, the old blinds, and the overly personal decor. But buyers see all of it immediately. And here's the thing to understand. Buyers stack problems emotionally. They don't isolate them one by one. A cluttered closet turns into, what else doesn't have enough storage? A dark room becomes, this house feels smaller. Deferred maintenance becomes, what bigger repairs are hiding here? Mess creates doubt, and that's really what this all comes down to. Once doubt enters the conversation, offers get weak fast. I recently saw 2 very similar homes listed around the same time. One seller spent the entire weekend decluttering, repainting a few walls, deep cleaning, and lightly staging the home. The other listed completely as is to test the market. One created urgency, the other created negotiation. Especially in Weston, buyers paying premium prices want homes that feel easy, move-in ready, light, clean, taken care of, not projects. Buyers scroll incredibly fast right now. They may go through 30, 40, 50 listings sitting on the couch at night. And if your first few photos don't grab them, they're gone. No showings, no second chance, just a scroll past. That's why a bad listing photo can quietly cost sellers so much money. Dark photos, phone photos, bad angles, poor lighting, clutter, over-edited images, vertical shots, all of it matters because photos today are not documentation. They're marketing, and buyers are making emotional decisions within seconds. What's interesting is that buyers often decide whether a home feels expensive before they even set foot inside it. That feeling starts online. And weak photos usually point to a much bigger issue, weak marketing overall. Putting a house on the MLS is not a marketing plan. And this is where a lot of sellers get caught, because every agent will tell you, of course I can sell your home. But there's a difference between listing a home and positioning a home properly, especially in Weston. Because you're not just selling bedrooms and bathrooms here. You're selling a lifestyle, schools, the community, commute patterns, parks, relocation appeal, neighborhood feel. Weston buyers are often extremely analytical. They research heavily, and local nuance matters a lot. HOA differences matter, school boundaries matter, street placement matters, lot orientation matters, even which side of a neighborhood you're on can matter. Generic marketing completely misses those details. Cookie cutter listing descriptions, no personality, no neighborhood insight, no strategy. It all starts to feel kind of interchangeable. Everyone knows an agent, but not every agent understands Weston. And buyers can feel the difference faster than sellers think. And here is the frustrating part. Almost every mistake we talked about today, it's fixable, but usually only before the listing launches. Because once momentum disappears, buyers see the days on market, they see the price cuts, they see relisting history, and once that perception starts building, it's really hard to fully reset it. You only get one chance to hit the market fresh. And here's what I see most sellers get wrong most often. A lot of them spend money on the wrong things. Some ignore obvious buyer friction completely. Others over-renovate things buyers really don't care about. Because buyers today are not walking through homes asking what they can upgrade later. They are walking through asking what they are going to have to deal with if they buy this home. And that changes everything. The good news is none of this requires a full renovation. None of it requires a massive budget. It requires knowing what buyers in Weston actually care about before you list. And now you know it. If you're thinking about selling your home in Weston, this is exactly the kind of thing to be thinking about now, not the week you go on the market. The sellers who do best right now are not always the ones with the most updated homes. They are the ones who understand what buyers are reacting to and get ahead of it before the listing even goes live. And if you want to go deeper on the specific upgrades and fixes that actually move buyers in Weston, I made a video that breaks all of that down. I'll link it right here. Thanks for watching. I'll see you on the next one.